Welcome to episode 11 of Under the Covers. I am your host, Nick. This is your host, Jett. And we are super excited. We've promised a couple of minor tweaks and changes to the show, which are now live. We've reconditioned our recording space a little bit. We've upgraded some of our equipment, so we might look a little bit different, hopefully better. Yeah. And we have a lot of exciting things in store for upcoming episodes. But for now, this is where we're getting started. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're back in our own space. We had 2 episodes in St. Augustine. That was fun.
That was fun.
And now we're here. And we are going to talk about a song that you chose.
We are.
I'm kind of pumped to get into this.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really know a lot about this band. I mean, I certainly knew who they were, and I knew a lot of surface level things, but I'm interested to hear more from you about how they definitely seem to line up with your ethos pretty strongly. And you had some good stories about seeing them. So I want to hear all of it. Where do you want to start?
From the beginning.
Let's do it from the beginning.
Because the lead singer of this band was in another band back in the day.
Yeah. It's unusual for singers to be in like 2 large, big popular bands.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, how often do you hear of like, oh, I was in band A and pretty well known for it, and now I'm in band B, also known for that, like completely separately.
Pre-super groups.
Yeah. A super group aside,
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, so late 70s, early 80s, into the 80s is when the hardcore scene was evolving, and I kind of really got into his first band. Well, it might be his first band. I could be wrong about that.
Certainly the band that he first became known for. Certainly. Yeah, the DC hardcore outfit.
Yes. So yeah, that was when I really got into that style of music, and my first slam dance pit, which now is called
Slam Dance Pit.
Yeah, that's what it used to be called. And then it was called moshing. And then
as soon as you said that, I was like, she means moshing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, slam dance sounds like someone like, don't hear that very often.
No, you don't.
That's funny.
It's antiquated.
But it's funny. Well, it's antiquated, but it's also like pretty OG too.
Yeah.
So you just pulled out some street cred right there.
That's when it was friendly. It was more of like a brotherhood kind of thing. Like,
good-natured kind of.
Yeah. Link arms, run around. You know
who had like a really good-natured sort of like, hey, we're all here to have fun kind of pit? Primus.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. No one was there to like knock teeth out or anything.
No. And actually, the lead singer for this band even into the next band was always very steadfast about, could we just have a good time, please? Could we not get hurt out there? Could everybody calm the fuck down?
Yeah, I read that in sort of, a little bit of my cursory research into the band when we were recording this. I looked into it and saw a bunch of quotes where he was like, excuse me, sir, can you not? Like, we're not doing that here.
Stop the whole show.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Stop the whole show.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Do you want us to continue? Then calm the fuck down.
Yeah, and not something I would have expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool. So I'm continue.
Well, yeah. So also part of the straight edge scene. That was, big X's on your hands.
Nailed to the X.
Yeah. Which I was for a long time. And then I went to college and that ended. But
I think, so that book that I loaned you, Our Band Could Be Your Life by Michael Azerrad, I think he goes into the origins of that and why that became like a thing for like straight edge, that was sort of like their association. It's interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of cool thematics behind it. But yeah, because you're there to see the music and to have a good time, and you're there for a cause, and it's a heavy-hearted cause because it's more of like a social undercurrent rather than a let's get fucked up and like
Get rowdy.
get rowdy. Yeah. You're there to support justice because that's what the bands are supporting too, and you're into it. And
or even maybe even a more wider community of music than, just like.
Yeah. And actually, to that book's credit too, like, as I'm starting to get into it, I've only read the introduction so far. It's a really good book.
That's
really
cool.
good book, yeah. But
I think it's cool that book covers both of this guy's bands.
right?
Yeah. Isn't it?
I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, it's, so you're there. There's a political current. There's a social justice undercurrent. But you're there to support each other and the band. And then, the band's, labels. So, it's a whole, almost like a parental unit that you're, family unit that you're supporting. So yeah, it's not about drugs and alcohol. It was really about supporting a scene.
Yeah. Let's talk about their alignment for a minute, because you kind of touched on it, and that's what really made me be like, oh, this is why this song like speaks to you so directly, and probably the band as well. Talk a little bit about the song and the song's focus lyrically and the themes, and how that identified with you. Were like, yes, that's next. Because we actually came up with this when we were talking about what are our plans for the next few episodes while we were in St. Augustine, and we listened to that and you're like, we're doing this next. I'm like, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to, and then it was kind of like, it falls off the radar, comes back on, falls off the radar. And then like, as we started kind of deep diving into our playlist, I was like, yeah, we gotta really do this one. But yeah, so it's about how loosely we treat language, how flippant we are with words, and how you make a promise and you fall back on it, or you can't follow through with your words or your ideology or that kind of thing, or you're not, it's hard to stay on course as a human, because it's just hard being human. We get derailed constantly. There's squirrels and shiny things and fun substances to play with. It's hard to stay on track. So, and for as much as I love this song, I have fallen victim to falling back on certain things, and I've just in my own humanness. So it means a lot to me, and then of course in your own human experience you get betrayed by people, like, like the lies and the deception, like whatever, but so those kind of haunt your soul at times too, and so it kind of draws back those memories, and you're like, I remember when so-and-so, like.
Yeah. Or even some self-reflection of like, oh, I remember like when I was younger, I didn't follow through the way that I should have, or I would have now.
Oh yeah.
And you start to realize like, oh, okay, well, it's good that that's not how I am anymore. But to your point, like I was talking to someone earlier this week who was reminiscing about, remember when like your word was your bond, and that was everything, and that's how you built a reputation for being who you are. And it definitely felt like that fell right in line with the song that we did.
Yeah. And I would like to think that I still, I brought that back for myself, but
everyone makes mistakes. And even in that same conversation with that person, he was like, yeah, sometimes things go wrong and you can't do it, but at least you're going to go back and be like, hey, listen, this happened, I'm going to make it right, and keep going instead of just like ignore it. Yeah.
But I've always liked that, your word is your bond, being true to your word. I think it's the only way to bring credibility to language.
Sure.
Otherwise,
credibility is exactly the word that I've been searching for all week since that conversation, and couldn't come up with it. I'm glad you had it.
Words are hard. They're so hard.
You told me a story when we were choosing this song that you had seen them live, and I forget the venue, you can tell me, and you were like hanging off the railing, like screaming this back at them when they played it. That's awesome. Tell me about that experience.
Such a great vantage point. I don't know how we got up to the balcony level, but I got to be right up against the railing, looking right over the stage. It was It was awesome. So they opened for Alice in Chains. Mm-hmm. And this was at the Edge in Fort Lauderdale.
Feels like that should have been Alice in Chains opening for them.
I know, right? I know.
Saying.
Or maybe, yeah, no, it was that. But yeah, was it the other way around? I don't. But anyway, I was like, this is the best show ever. Two of my favorite bands. Like, this is. I mean, and they're kind of very like polar opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Very
polar.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
I was like,
100%.
how did this lineup get get tagged? Okay. But yeah, it was a fabulous show, and I was like, play the song, and I think they closed with it. And I was like,
oh,
yes!
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was so good.
It was cool for me to get involved in this song a little bit because, you know, like everyone else, I knew who they were, certainly, and their reputation, which was a good reputation. But I hadn't really like listened to a lot of their music. I think I heard like one album, and at the time I was like, okay, like this is good. Like, I don't know that it necessarily like speaks to me or whatever. But listening to this song and going back and I'm like, man, this is so great. And then, you know, I didn't like learning about them a little bit more. I didn't realize that they came along as late as they did. I always thought that they were sort of like a mid 80s band, and they're not. They're like an early 90s band, which really makes a big difference. And then the influence that they had on other bands that I listened to, I was kind of surprised. Like, I remember reading an interview with Scott Ian, the guitar player for Anthrax. And I forget what he was talking about, but he was sort of commenting on the music industry in general, and he was like, yeah, they're the only real like independent band that does things the way that they want to is this band.
Oh, nice.
And like, you know, kind of called them out in a good way of like, you guys are the only people legitimate out there that aren't doing this with some level of, hey, we have to play along for what the label wants. Nope.
And he's never been like that.
Yeah.
And that's the culture of the scene. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, you did it for yourself and no one else.
Yeah.
By your rules only.
Yeah.
And that was prevalent at the time. It's not prevalent really anymore. But I don't know. It maybe in a different way it is.
Yes.
Right? Because there's so many independent artists coming up doing their own thing, because you can release your own shit now, and you can run it your way.
But
so
if you want to get plays, you got to play along.
Right, right.
If you wanted to show up on the algorithm, then you're kind of back to that sort of.
Right, right. But, you know, like when we get more popular, are we going to allow ads on YouTube?
I mean, how much money are we talking about?
I don't want to.
Well, who are the ads for?
Right. So that's the thing. Like
Adam and Eve. One of the podcasts that I really enjoy and listen to, they're sponsored by Adam and Eve, and they just take their copy and butcher it nonstop. It's so great. Like, Adam and Eve, things for your jennies, and right from their shells straight to your butt. It's Adam and Eve.
That's hilarious.
It's so great. That's why I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't hate some sponsorships just to do stuff like that.
I wouldn't mind as long as we could choose them.
Well, you can always say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know how like YouTube ads run. Like, I don't know if like the ads that pop up like in the middle of something, like I hate that shit. Or
we need a social media manager.
Yeah.
Making improvements over here, but there's still some pieces missing.
But anyway. Yeah. But yeah, that's something I've always kind of been pretty heavy against. Like, I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Mm-hmm. So one of the last, so we were talking a little bit about just the influence that this band has had.
Derailed us.
No, you're good. You're derailed us in the best way. So the influence that this band had, as we started playing the song, I was learning the end of the song, and it immediately came out to me. I was like, this is Rage Against the Machine, like with like less of a hip hop influence. It feel, and I'm not saying like, Rage like rips these people out. I'm not saying
not
that
at all. No, but
it's
it was
like
just an influence.
You hear something, and it's such a clear influence of like, oh yes, like this run in like, you know, the E blues scale and like this rhythm, like that would not be out of place on like Rage's first album. It sounds right in line. And when I pointed that out to you, you were like, oh yeah,
Duh.
yeah, like that's yes.
Way to go, Tom.
Yeah. And looking through some of their stuff, there are so many people that list this band as a major influence in their songwriting. Some of them are unexpected where I'm like, really? That's okay. I didn't put those together. But some of them like, yeah, for sure. That's somebody that had a real big impression on you.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is really neat.
I love that. Yeah, they've always had a from their inception, not, you know, as the band he was with before, and this band, like, he's always been a great influence. I had the cassette.
Did you really?
Just.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, well, of the first band, and then like, with the second band. So the song that we're gonna play, it's hard to find. So you have it on. Well, you can find it on Spotify now, of course, but like.
They put it out under 13 songs, which was a compilation of 2 of their first EPs.
Right. Yeah. And so that one of those first EPs I have on cassette still somewhere.
Wow.
And there's like another song on there that I would love to do too.
Yeah.
And I want to tell the name of this cassette. I want the cassette.
Oh,
it's called.
We're getting there. We're almost there. We are almost there. The last thing I kind of wanted to say about the band and, you know, learning more about them, I thought someone, and I don't remember if this is their description of the artist on Spotify or somewhere else, but someone put, if history is kind to this band, they'll be remembered more for their music than they are for their, how do they put it, for their outlook on the music industry, which I think is also like a very, very big thing for them. Certainly when I would hear this band's name, I'd be like, oh, that's the band that kind of like believes in this, and they're very DIY, and they're very this, and they're very audience focused and very anti-label. Like that's immediately what I think of instead of their music. And listening to their music, I'm like, oh yeah, this is sort of an underappreciated facet of who they are. It's not just, you know, their personality and their approach to music as a business, but it should be more about the music. And I feel like that's getting overshadowed. So I thought that was a pretty poignant description of them, of like, this is what everybody thinks of, but don't forget they're also like really great musicians and put out great stuff.
Yeah. But that's kind of cool though, that they've made such a social impact as well.
Thank you for truncating that into social impact. That's what I was looking for, and took way too long to say it.
Here for it.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Credibility and social impact.
There it is. Which it's funny. Like if you had to describe this band in a couple of words, that's probably the best way you could do it.
Yeah.
So, do you want to introduce the artist and song that we're going to do?
Mm-hmm. The artist is Fugazi. The song is Promises.
Words and expressions, all of these confessions on where we stand, how I see you, how you see me, dedications of symmetry together. We will be forever. Promises are shapes. We speak the way we breathe. Present air will have to do. Rearrange and see it through. Stupid fucking words. Entangle us in our desires. Free me from this give and take. Free me from this great debate. There were no truer words than when spoken broken. We grab anything when we fall. Promises are shit. We speak the way we breathe. Present air will have to do. Rearrange and see it through. Stupid fucking words. They tangle us in our desires. Free me from this give and take. Free me from this great debate. And you will do what you do. And I will do what I do. And we will do what we do. Rearrange, see it through. And you will do what you do. And I will do what I do. And we will do what we do. Rearrange, see it through. Rearrange. Go where you think you wanna go. Do everything you were sent here for. Fire will if you hear that call. Touch your hand to the wall at night. Go where you think you wanna go. Do everything you were sent here for. Fire will if you hear that call. Touch your hand to the wall at night. Promises, 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 words. Promises, 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 words. Promises, 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 words. Promises, 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 words.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Under the Covers. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at UTC Music Podcast. We launch new episodes on the 1st and 15th of every month. And if you're new to the show, thank you so much for showing up and watching. For additional features like extra episodes, reaction videos, blooper reels, because we're really good at that, you can sign up for Patreon. And that's also Patreon UTC Music Podcast. So thanks for watching, and please come back.